What's up, I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time it is going to be part 2 of some of the Takara reveals that we've seen recently, and we're going to talk about Studio Series. Now, first of all, I wanted to point out that yes, we don't have official images of the Widowmaker that's based on the Age of Extinction concept art, but we already know we're getting it, not just from the in-hand images, but from the Hasbro listings. I believe that Takara usually releases stuff a little bit differently. Either they'll break up some waves, or they just won't release a figure right away, and then we'll release it maybe in a solo wave or with a couple of other figures that they didn't release initially. It's just something that they normally do. Also, Hasbro does a lot of re-releases for these Studio Series waves, so I imagine that Widowmaker might be replacing one for Takara. Like, let's say, for example, they bring back the Studio Series 86 Jazz for the 15th time. Instead of that for Takara, they might just do Widowmaker in that wave. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but we do know that we're getting Widowmaker, we've seen it. And also, with the Elita 1, I wanted to point out that, yes, we did get the reveal, I think it was half a year ago, maybe it was last November, and this is supposed to come out, I think it's going to be this November, and some people were kind of wondering what's going on with Elita because she wasn't released with B127 and Sentinel Prime. If you actually saw the pre-orders for the Hasbro release, it was meant to come out later, because it's meant to be in a wave with other figures than B127 and Sentinel Prime. So it does make sense. There's no like delay on anything. This is how they planned it out. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at Elita 1. There's not really too much to touch up here that we haven't already seen. I mean, the pink looks good, the silver on the chest looks very nice. It's definitely Ghibli. I mean, you can see that with the sides of the torso, you can see that with the arms, but the legs look clean, and I think for what it's worth, they did a fair job. I think the bike mode looks very nice, and she does come with the blaster piece that's also found on the tracker bots. But one thing I want to touch up on is that they also revealed that she comes with one of the Jetpacks, and so you'll be able to attach that to probably the Megatron or the Optimus Prime. I do believe that Megatron has the porthole at least. I can't remember if Optimus does, but yeah, you'll likely be able to attach that, unless it's tabbed in, but I imagine it's going to be a 5mm peg. But yeah, I think the sculpting is nice. The pink could be better. I mean, I would like to see some thruster details, maybe blue or orange, but for what it's worth, I think they did a fair enough job. Anyways, moving on, we also have the Megatron, so I want to touch up again on the gun weapon piece that we'll be able to attach to a figure like Starscream, and I kind of figured that's what they're going for. I thought that for Megatron you would be able to detach some of the parts, like the front of the gun, the top scope, but it doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like it's going to be all one piece. You can kind of see that because the tab for the gun to attach is on the scope, which, I mean, is fine. I just would like to see that gimmick. But yes, Starscream will be able to hold it, so at least you got that, because I kind of expected them not to turn Megatron into a gun. I know I've done a video on this before, so I'm not going to repeat too much, but take a look at the robot mode. You know, you've got the sword. You also do have a proper place to fit the gun mode on the top of the turret. I'm curious to see exactly what kind of weapons you could plug underneath it. Maybe there's an alternate port for that Megatron gun that you could plug under the tank, because when I saw some videos, when I saw some pictures about it, it did seem like you'll be able to store something underneath. Maybe the lance you'll be able to plug on. I'm kind of curious why this doesn't come with that purple blaster that Megatron also used in the film, but for what it's worth, Megatron does look really good here, so I'm very excited for that. It definitely cleans that up for something that transforms into a tank. Anyways, moving on, we also have the Transformers 1 Starscream. This is going to be a deluxe class figure, so this is going to be in the same wave as Elita 1, and I think they did a fantastic job. First of all, with the jet mode and some of the shaping of the robot, I kind of want to see an oversized version that's going to be repainted into Jetfire, especially considering that some of the Seekers had that visor. I think that head sculpt in particular would be nice for the Starscream. And obviously, this is going to lead into other repaints. I can imagine that we're going to get, I believe Thundercracker was listed for next year. I could be wrong about that. Maybe we'll get a Skywarp and we'll get different heads for them. But will we get a Slipstream? Will we get a Red Wing? Will we get any of the cone heads like Ramjet, Thrust, Dirge? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I could definitely see them doing it. It's just whether or not they want to. I don't know. or whether or not they want to reshape some of the things, because a lot of them do have different changes. But I love the roundness on Starscream's chest. I like the canopy on the front. It's a little too much red here, but I don't necessarily mind it, especially when you compare it to the jet mode. The jet looks really nice, and you got that Tetrajet vibe with the fin at the top there. The top of the fin is its own blaster, and you can attach that with the gun underneath the Seeker jet. And you could definitely tell that there's some inspiration with the Bumblebee movie design because of that turret underneath. But you can see that both guns will be able to be combined and held in the hand. You could actually separate those guns if you want. And I do believe that the null rays attached to the arms, to the shoulders, will be able to rotate as well. But again, I love the shaping, especially with the legs. The head sculpt looks very nice, very close to Starscream in the movie. So I'm very excited for this, and I'm again very curious to see what kind of repaints we get. Again, we're getting Thundercracker, but who's next after that? I would love to see a in-movie version of Slipstream. I know that exists in Transformers 1. Give us a toy version of that. Anyways, moved on, we also have the 86 line for the Constructicons. We've got the remaining Constructicons fully revealed, and we actually have an image of the fully complete Devastator. So this is Mixmaster in his alt mode and the robot mode. We've touched on this before, so I'll just quickly breeze through. I do like the purple for the main torso. I kind of wish that the legs would break up the color scheme. I get what they're going for, but I'm just saying. You could also see that the shoulder or arm rotation will be able to break up the wheels. I kind of like that. And then he's got that little hood piece with the little, it almost looks like rockets. The barrel won't be able to rotate, but I'm fine with that. And I think the front of the truck looks nice. So, yeah, this will form the other leg. And then this is Deluxe Class Scavenger. So it's going to counter the Deluxe Class Bone Crusher as the arm. And I guess it transforms in a similar fashion with the actual arm piece itself. It'll probably just slap on the back. But I don't mind how he looks in particular. It's still very weird. I mean, he looks like he's wearing a big purple diaper underneath those pants. It actually looks like the mom jeans, if you know what I mean. But for what it's worth, I think this definitely captures the Scavenger design, especially with the chest and the head sculpt with a lot of the earlier toys. I love what they're doing with the alt mode. I mean, it's very simple, but I'm a sucker for something like that for an excavator. And, the gun's fine. It's a fine little toy. I think it's a lot better looking than Bone Crusher, because Bone Crusher just looked fat and weird. This one looks weird, but I get what they're going for. And then we're going to take a look at the fully complete Devastator for the first time. Technically not the first time, because we did see the prototypes, but in the complete deco, and with some of the guns attached, you can see that one of the guns will be able to attach to the feet with the Mixmaster figure. And I think that gun piece actually comes from the Hook and Long Haul set. But I love what they're doing. I love the basic colors. I know that some people don't like the backpack. I think the backpack is fine enough. I understand it, but if you look at some of the shots in the original cartoon, it does kind of lean to that. But he just feels the most complete for Devastator. I know some people are going to compare this to Combiner Wars, but I feel like, especially with how clean the lower body is, which I believe is just a particular piece that's thrown into the set to make the waist. Like, it's not transformed from Long Haul or Hook or anyone in particular, but it comes out so clean that he just looks very nice. He looks like he jumped out of the cartoon, and yeah, I'm thrilled about pretty much everything here. I've already got the Bone Crusher, I've already got the Scrapper, I need to get the Hook and Long Haul. I don't know if there's a pre-order right now for it in Canada, but yeah, this has definitely got me on board. And I like that you can actually attach some of the guns onto it. I don't know where Scrapper's gun is. I believe it's probably attached somewhere. It actually might be attached beside his head. I could be wrong, but I do like the fact that there's weapon storage throughout him. You could also just take them off and have a nice clean Devastator, but at the very least they left that on. You can also attach one of the guns onto his large rifle. But with that out of the way, what do you guys think? Please comment below, let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all those fun doodads, and I will see you guys next time.